fear homophobes,
racists,
bigots,
transphobes
and disablists.
There are things this country doesn't welcome.
We don't welcome you attacking people because of their religion, where they're from, or the colour of their skin.
Take my portfolio alone. The Lord President, white. The Lord Justice Clerk, white. Every High Court judge, white. The Lord Advocate, white. The Solicitor General, white. The Chief Constable, white. Every Deputy Chief Constable, white. Every Assistant Chief Constable, white. The Head of the Law Society, white. The Head of the Faculty of Advocates, white. Every prison governor, white. And not just justice.
The Chief Medical Officer, white. The Chief Nursing Officer, white. The Chief Veterinary Officer, white. The Chief Social Work Advisor, white. Almost every trade union in this country headed by people who are white. In the Scottish Government, every Director General is white. Every chair of every public body is white.
White, 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 white. I've lost count of how many times my identity, my loyalty to Scotland, the only country I have ever and will ever call home, has been questioned over the years.
To Pakistanis who think they celebrated your election as a First Minister of Scotland, what will you like to say to them?
Well, first, can I thank every single one of them. I got messages from my father's hometown in the city in Mirchano, and my mother's hometown in Faisalabad, the home city of Faisalabad as well, and right across Pakistan. And really it warmed my heart, because I see myself, of course, as Scottish, but also Pakistani too. And I can't wait to come to visit as First Minister, to see my fatherland, my motherland, and inshallah we just work together to increase that cooperation.
Excuse me, Hamza, a few days ago you said we have to call out bigots and say F you, didn't you not? Your white speech was the most bigoted thing Scotland has ever heard. So on behalf of Scotland, fuck you.
Here in Scotland, the idea of being a nationalist is not a phrase that often people at the SNP like, but it's something of pride. It's pride in identity, pride in country. It's a belief in self-government, escaping from being ruled from down south. And yet in most other parts of the world, nationalism is often seen in a very different way, as a kind of hostile to others, aggressive. Look, after all, at the region that your father came from. Nationalism in Pakistan, nationalism in India now, is very destructive, very dangerous, arguably.
I think that's right. And and that's why I don't make the comparisons, by the way, and I should be, and be very clear about that. I don't make the comparisons between what happened in partition with what we're doing here in Scotland. That's a very obvious point to make, but worth reiterating. I mean, I've never really been comfortable with the fact that we have national in our party's name, not because I think the founding members of the SNP had any far right inclination. They certainly didn't, or any nationalist inclination in the way that you express it there. But because it can be misinterpreted.
Came over with your grandparents, I think, to Scotland. Why Scotland? What the journey from Pakistan to Scotland? What was the attraction? Do we know?
Do you know, my grandfather always tells a story which kind of irked me as an SNP or as a national